Welcome back to the program. So first and foremost, you may already know, but this is not Full Access Friday. Unfortunately, Marlene, who administers Full Access Friday each Friday night, unfortunately had her brother pass away last week, and today was the wake for her brother. So we wish her well. My condolences, of course, to go out to her, to her family, of course, to her brother. May he rest in peace. So I decided to do a short video just to give you some new content. And here I am. And of course, John is still in the hospital. And hopefully he might be back next week. But if not, he'll be back the following week. So look, a lot of times it isn't production, right? It's the content. Content is king. So I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing each and every day, regardless of production value. Okay? Anyway, so I wanted to kind of bring that up first and foremost. But look, the daggers are coming out. The daggers are coming out for everybody that President Trump has decided to nominate for his cabinet. And none are coming out harder for, I guess you could say, not even Hegseth anymore, but really Matt Gaetz and, of course, RFK Jr. As I already said, I don't need to rehash it. They're all going to serve. Okay, there's no question about it. So that's not really the issue. The issue is whether or not, after they're done serving their 7-month terms, whether or not they can get confirmed. They can serve now, as soon as they take over on January 20th, and then they can go through a confirmation process while they are actually serving in their positions. Okay, so people need to understand that. I have a feeling that RFK Jr. is going to be confirmed. I have a feeling that Tulsi Gabbard is going to be confirmed. I have a feeling that Hegseth is going to be confirmed. I believe even Holman is going to be confirmed. I believe most of these people are actually going to get confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Matt, I'm not too sure of, but like I said, it doesn't really matter. Because if he can do the job for 7 months and clean up everything and arrest everybody and put these people in jail, well, then he's served his purpose, so to speak. So anyway, that's what I wanted to kind of cover first and foremost. But that doesn't mean that the left is dead. That doesn't mean that the left isn't going to try to do whatever they can to disrupt President Trump, to try to leak and try to basically sabotage his administration. I don't believe they will be anywhere near as successful as they were in 2016, because in 2016, he didn't have loyalists surrounding him in his cabinet. He didn't know Washington. He didn't know who the serpents and demons were, who can be trusted, who can't. And even so, there still could be a couple of people that he's nominating, for all we know, that could end up, doing something to try to sabotage him. We don't know. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard's only been a Republican for a month? She was a pretty hardcore die-in-the-wool liberal. RFK Jr. seems to be a good person, but who knows? I mean, you never know what these people that haven't been loyal to President Trump in 2016 and 2020 and in 2024, he hasn't had long-term relationships with all these people. Matt Gaetz, of course, would be one that would be a loyalist. And to have a loyalist that can go after the people that politically persecuted you, tried to throw you in jail, impeach you, and then tried to assassinate you, well, I can understand why Matt Gaetz would be a good choice for somebody that cannot risk another Jeff Sessions, cannot risk another William Barr or anything like that. And so that's why they're coming after Matt Gaetz. He's competent, he's articulate, he's intelligent, he's credentialed for sure, and he can do the job. And he can do the job effectively. And that is why they are so afraid. So afraid that now you have Democrat Congress members, you ready for this? Actually talking publicly, not behind the scenes, quiet, whisper campaign. No, talking publicly, and not only publicly, but on the House floor. How stupid are these people? of a, quote, shadow government. That's right, a shadow government. Democrat congressman openly reveals plot to form a shadow government, even naming individuals who could, quote, undermine every Trump cabinet member. Now, this Democrat pissant is Wiley Nickel, Democrat from North Carolina, who literally takes to the floor of the House of Representatives and he says, unbelievably, this right here. Unreal. Listen to this. This is crazy. Crazy time.
If Trump attempts to weaponize the justice system against his political opponents with Matt Gaetz at the helm, we could see incoming Senator Adam Schiff as our shadow attorney general, arguing against replacing our independent prosecutors with Trump loyalists. If Trump seeks to eliminate the Department of Education, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, a former Teacher of the Year, could step up as shadow education secretary to loudly defend public education in the United States. If Trump orders Marco Rubio to hand Ukraine and much of Eastern Europe to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Congressman Greg Meeks, as Shadow Secretary of State, could be a strong voice in support of maintaining international relationships and protecting democracy at home and abroad. Senator Michael Bennet as Shadow Treasury Secretary, and Congresswoman Susan DelBene as Shadow Commerce Secretary could help ensure the middle class and small businesses have a voice in government and call out Trump's proposed tax cuts for billionaires and corporations. As Shadow Defense Secretary, Congressman Adam Smith, a great representative for the people of Washington and not a Fox News host, could counter Trump's threat to use military force against his political opponents and work to ensure that the Department of Defense stays loyal to the Constitution and not some wannabe dictator. And Senator Tammy Duckworth could argue against cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs that would delay the benefits and care our service members have so rightly earned. If Trump hands over the EPA to big oil ally Lee Zeldin, we could see Congresswoman Kathy Castor pushing back for environmental protection and conservation to protect the air we breathe and the water we drink. And if Trump pushes to ban abortion nationwide, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro could step in as Shadow Secretary of Health and Human Services to defend women's right to choose and argue against the gutting of Medicare by Trump and his cronies. Mr. Speaker, new times require new solutions. The shadow cabinet isn't just about opposing extreme MAGA attacks on our government. It's also about making clear what we stand for, not just what we're against.
Well, the first thing that I will say to this little pissant from North Carolina is thank you. Thank you for naming the individuals that will be part of some type of warped thinking shadow government that you actually think are going to do anything at all to undermine the actual real official people. Okay, that's number one. Number two, what you have just done and have said publicly on the House floor is a crime that hopefully, when Matt Gaetz is your Attorney General, you will be prosecuted for, along with all the people in your quote-unquote shadow government. Let's talk about this for a second. So what is he basically saying? He is basically saying that Congress, and him in particular, will basically obstruct all proceedings, which is U.S. Code 181510, obstruction of criminal investigations. Whoever willfully endeavors by means of bribery to obstruct, delay, or prevent the communications of information relating to a violation or a crime or criminal statute of the United States by any person or organization to a criminal investigator shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. So, right then and there, that's one crime that has been committed here. Another crime that Matt Gaetz and the rest of them can do here would be seditious conspiracy. They are conspiring to undermine and or overthrow a duly elected legitimate government. That's a problem too. Seditious conspiracy is U.S. Code 182384, and the definition would be the overthrow, destruction, or put down of the U.S. government, levy war against the U.S. government, oppose by force, and try to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law, seize, take, or possess any property of the United States contrary to the authority thereof. Punishment, each person could be fined or imprisoned up to 20 years in prison. But that's not all. That's not all, folks. What about the fact that what they are doing, in my opinion, is also treason? Okay? It is treason. U.S. Code 182381 is treason. But the other thing that they can also be guilty of is the Hatch Act. Anybody know what the Hatch Act is? The Hatch Act basically says that it is a felony and a crime to negotiate or undermine any elected, duly elected official in a government by talking to their counterpart in another country or undermining the official message of an administration. Okay? That's called a violation of the Hatch Act. So, thank you for saying what you're planning on doing, because now we have you on record, dumbass, of doing what you did. And when Matt Gaetz takes over the Department of Justice, guess what? You're probably going to be indicted for what you have just done. And not just you, many others. I think, look, I'm not a big government guy. I don't want to expand government. But I'll tell you right now, I hope when Matt Gaetz takes over at the Department of Justice, I hope he hires 1,000 lawyers, okay? 1,000. And I want him to basically go and put 10 lawyers that are going to be looking at just this. 10 lawyers that are going to be concentrating on just that. 10 lawyers that will be doing this. This one will be working on that. This will work on this and this and that and so forth and so on. That way, while President Trump is making America great again, we can be locking up and indicting and arresting these criminal bad actors in the administrative state. We're not playing around anymore. This is a mandate. For the folks out there that don't understand what that means, the American people have given President Trump a mandate. And in that mandate is effective change. And it may be change that the political class doesn't want, but they're going to get it, no matter what. So, thank you, Pissant Wiley, for being dumb enough to actually say that you want to undermine the federal government. Here's some more good news. Apparently, Canada is bracing, that's right, they are bracing for a Trump migrant surge. That's right. Many of the people that are here in the United States of America are starting to leave. Not just caravans breaking up, but the people here are already leaving and they are going elsewhere. Some are even going back to Central America and Mexico. And a lot of them, that's right, they're going up. They're going to Canada. And Canada understands exactly what is happening. So according to the Center for Immigration Studies, Canada is bracing for an overwhelming migrant surge. When President-elect Donald Trump promised mass deportation for illegal aliens, many of them are tracking to Canada, according to reports not just from ICE and Border Patrol, but also Canadian officials as well. The world's longest undefended border could soon be little more than nothing defended, as a migrant surge would likely imperil the electoral prospects of current Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party. Canada prepares for a rise in border crossings 2 days after the November 5th U.S. presidential elections. Canada's national public broadcast outlet, the CBC, published an article headlined, Canada prepares for a rise in border crossings with the threat of mass deportations under President Trump. So that's also really good news. That means that they're getting the hell out of America and they're going to go somewhere else like Canada or other countries. Good. Leave, get out. Much less work for Tom Homan, the border czar, and ICE and the rest of the Border Patrol agents and the police and everything else to round up these criminals and get them out of the country. So thank you for the assist. Let's see. What else was there? There was, I think, one other thing that I was going to talk about. Oh, this. So I think I told you that America is getting more red, number one, and blue cities are turning more purple, number two. And it's not just me saying that. The numbers clearly show there's been a 4.8% increase to the right, okay, in blue cities around the country. And 49 out of 50 states moved to the right, 4.8 percentage points. In the swing states, it was 3.27%. So in other words, one of the reasons President Trump won is every single swing state, all 7 of the main swing states, moved 3.27 percentage points to the right. Obviously, the camera's different, so I'm going to my right here. Anyway, but this is also due to, of course, the highest amount of African-American voters, the highest amount of Hispanic voters. And yes, we did really, really well, not just with single women, but married women and women in general. And thankfully, the men came out, and they came out in big enough numbers to give President Trump this resounding victory, landslide, and mandate. But some people are still stuck on stupid, and they still want to bring in illegals and migrants and things like that. But the people in Chicago, which is, according to this guy, no longer blue Chicago, he's calling it red Chicago. I certainly wouldn't go that far, but it could be maybe close to purple. I don't know. New York is closer to purple. New Jersey is definitely closer to purple. Scott Presler has already said for the midterms, he's going to bank himself right in the middle of New Jersey, and he's going to work on getting low propensity voters. Look, we have a blueprint and a model that has worked. So now we're going to continue to use this model. This will be the model moving forward for Republicans. Okay? Outsource the ground game to the people that know the ground. Early vote action, turning point action. They did a phenomenal job. And God bless them for doing the work that they did. And everybody did good work, of course. But this could be the new blueprint moving forward. And if we can figure out a way to secure our elections with election integrity, Democrats won't be winning too many elections in the future anytime soon. But this gentleman, an African-American gentleman, went to one of his meetings in, I believe, Chicago, and he let the person at the board know exactly what he thinks of him, number one, Brandon Johnson, the mayor, number two, and number three, well, the changes that are happening in Chicago and other big blue cities.
I want to know, how does it feel that Trump is in office right now? You see the Mayor Brandon Johnson, you underestimate us. You underestimate the black people, and you underestimate Chicago red. We're the thorn in your side, and we're going to be the thorn on everybody else in this council member side, too. If you don't stop what you're doing, we're going to take matters in our own hand, and we're going to stop it. When you took ShotSpotter off after the DNC, more shots have been committed. Do you know how many people got shot and killed? 20. One was a police officer, and he was doing his duty. And then some maniac over here wanted to shoot him dead, cold-blooded and stuff. So my thoughts and prayers to the family of that Chicago police officer, Rolf Hand. But Brandon Johnson, I'm going to say this to you once. I'm not going to repeat myself again. If you don't stop this madness, not only we're going to come after your seat, but guess what? The worst news is Trump assigned Matt Gaetz as the AG. Once he come in after you, he gonna sit up here and audit all this money that you've been spending on these illegals at the barbershop on the south side that didn't have no money so far from you and stuff. So why? I know what's going to happen. You're going to go down to the press conference, beat your chest up, and then you're going to talk all that smack. And then you're going to say, if a black man has not had the opportunity like a white man. But guess what? I'm a black man, and I don't see at you. I see through you. And I see the lies that you have been saying since you became office. We had enough problem with Lori Lightfoot, and now she's out because of racism. So when we vote you out, which racism are you going to address? White racism or black racism? You said you cannot figure out what the lesser of the two evil would be. So guess what's going to happen? You know that Trump had pulled 45% of the voter in the state of Illinois, 37 in the city of Chicago. That's the statistic. That means that Illinois is turning purple. We're going to turn red. And for some of these city councilmen member, I warn you, do not sit with Brandon Johnson. We're going to get them seats.
Boom, there it is. You see, here's what's going to happen, okay? When President Trump takes over and Tom Homan rounds up all these illegal aliens and gets them out of the country, and again, a lot of them are going to self-deport, okay? I predict by the time January 20th rolls around, between probably 4 and 5 million will have already self-deported. They know what's coming, right? And so the rest that decide to stay here and wait it out, they're going to be deported. They're all going to be deported back to their countries. And again, if they self-deport, it makes the job that much easier, number one. And number two, we can get rid of these people that much faster. So I think what's going to happen is once crime starts to go down, once these big blue cities start to feel safer, like New York and Chicago and Houston and Los Angeles and many others, the people that may vote Democrat for years and years and years are all of a sudden going to go, wow, you know what? The Republicans came in, they made everything safer, I've got more money, my 401k is bigger, my pension has grown larger, I don't have to have 3 jobs anymore, I can spend more time with my family, and groceries are less, and rent is less, and everything. Maybe there is something to this Republican Party. Maybe they're not all Nazis and fascists. Maybe, just maybe, they're actually supporters of working class people. Maybe they believe in law and order. Maybe they're actually the good guys. And you know what's going to happen? Not all, but a lot of these people are going to turn against the left. And when they do, elections moving forward, as long as we can get our elections underhand and making sure that we have election integrity, we're going to have a lot of surprises in future elections in states that we thought were blue, now all of a sudden are competitive. Virginia, New Jersey, possibly even New York. New York was only an 11-point victory for Heels Up Headboard Harris. 11 points in New York. Normally it's 30, 35, 40 sometimes even. Even California was what? I think within 14, wasn't it? Or 15 or 16? Somewhere around there. So what's happening? Well, the illegal alien invasion and the wokeness, I would say those two things in particular have changed the electorate. And hopefully, permanently. Time will tell. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.